Place the aluminum base plate into the corresponding slot of the guide rail. Test the fit of the components. Adjust the expansion ring with an Allen wrench. Test again until the fit is appropriate and smooth. Place the locating rod with the narrow side up under the aluminum base plate. Press the locating rod against the step of the aluminum base plate. Place the stone cutting machine on the aluminum base plate. Align the teeth of the saw blade with the locating rod. Ensure that the saw blade is parallel to the guide rail. Select the appropriate slot on the aluminum base plate based on the thickness of the stone cutting machine's base plate. Insert the T-bolt into the slot on the aluminum base plate. Adjust the screws on the pressure block according to the thickness of the stone cutting machine's base plate. Place the screw heads of the pressure block screws downwards onto the T-bolt. Place a washer and a spring on each screw. Then tighten them with butterfly nuts. Secure all 4 screws. Remove the locating rod. Once the wood board is secured, place the guide rail on top of it. Use guide rail clamps to secure the guide rails. Secure the guide rail to the wood board with guide rail clamps on both ends. Double-check everything, then cut a piece of wood using the stone cutting machine. There will be a saw line on the wood board. Use a guide line setter to align with the saw line and adjust the fit. Loosen the knob and move the guideline setter to align with one side of the saw line, such as the one close to the guide rail. The size of the wood board under the guide rail is now accurate. Repeat the same setting for the second guideline setter. Use the second guideline setter to align with the other side of the saw line, such as the one far from the guide rail. The size of the wood board outside the guide rail is now accurate. Secure the wood board to the guide rail with guide rail clamps. Secure the guide rail to the wood board with guide rail clamps on both ends. After cutting, the size of the wood board outside the guide rail is accurate. Cut the stone, ensuring to wash the cutting blade with water during the cutting process. Set the cutting angle of the stone cutting machine to 45 degrees. Verify with a square. Place the aluminum base plate on the stone cutting machine's base plate. Ensure the notch is aligned. Insert the locating rod with the narrow side up between the saw blade and the aluminum base plate. Insert the locating rod with the step of the aluminum base plate. Ensure the teeth of the saw blade on both sides are close to the locating rod. Then, secure the aluminum base plate, similar to the 90-degree installation. Finally, remove the locating rod. Stone-specific cutting blades are installed in the same way. When cutting tiles, leave 0.3 to 0.5 millimeters for smooth cutting. Water the cutting blade during stone cutting to keep the surface smooth and prevent chipping. The cut surface is smooth, flat, and without chipping, with accurate angles. Two tiles can be perfectly aligned at 90 degrees using the connecting pieces. Insert one connecting piece into the slot of one guide rail. Then into the slot of another guide rail. Leave 0.3 to 0.5 millimeters between the two guide rails. Place the aluminum base plate between the two guide rails. Tighten the screws on the connecting pieces. Smooth and seamless. The combined length of the connected guide rails is 2.8 meters, suitable for cutting large boards.